Texas Motor Speedway.
Franchitti wins the first of the Firestone twins.
Green is out. Here we go.
Will Power, he was the man here in race number 2.
And that catches you up with what's happened so far in the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series season. And there is the points leader, Will Power. He's got a long way to go, though. He's going to be starting 17th today, deep in this field of 24 cars. The man he's chasing will be the pole sitter, as he's got the points lead, but Dario wants it back, and Dario will be out there after that 170-mile-an-hour run. Here is the two teams, the Ganassi-Penske duels. They have 5 wins, 602 laps led. Everybody else just 2 wins and 156 laps led. Across the top of your screen, you'll see the starting field coming in, and in that period, you'll see the name of Mr. Andretti. That's right, Marco Andretti. In 1991, the family swept the podium here. Michael won the race. Cousin John was second, and Grandpa Mario was third. And I think that's where Rick DeBrule is going to start us off with our final check down on pit lane.
Well, Marty, when you talk about the history of the Milwaukee Mile, the name Andretti comes up an awful lot. Let's start with Mario. He won here 4 times, starting back in 1966, his last victory coming in 1985. And then there's his son, Michael. He did him one better. He won 5 times. Well, that's as a driver. He got 3 more as an owner. And while Marco does not have a victory just yet, he does have a pole. But, you know, owning a big chunk of this track's history over the last 5 decades really is not enough for the Andrettis. They want the future. Jamie Little?
Well, Rick, of the 4 Andretti cars in today's field, Ryan Hunter-Reay is the only one who's won here at Milwaukee, and he told me that race back in 2004, it was the perfect race. Started on the pole, led every lap to take the win. But it's been over a year since he's been back to victory lane, and today he hopes to change that at his favorite racetrack. Vince Welch?
Dario Franchitti knows and appreciates the history of this sport, so he holds particular value in this race and this place. If Franchitti would happen to win today, he would tie Rick Mears for 9th on the all-time win list. An honor not lost on the man who hopes to continue his assault on the record books today here at Milwaukee, Marty.
All right, thank you, Vince. As there is the pole sitter, there is Tony Kanaan. Now, this is the best that the KV Racing Technology team has qualified all year. There's Tony in 4th, and right behind him is E.J. Vizo.
You know, that team has done a lot of work here in the last little while. With the arrival of Tony Kanaan on that team, those guys are saying what a team player Tony Kanaan is. He's rallied everybody together. He gets together with the drivers. They turn around, and they think they have something for the big teams here this weekend. And
Takuma Sato is starting 5th. So they're 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And that's why Kevin Kalkoven is smiling. Let's go trackside.
Milwaukee Mile race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome back Charles Woodson, defensive back from your Green Bay Packers. He's already strapped inside the Honda IZOD fastest seat in sports to give the command.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Radio check. Radio check, James.
Oh, yeah.
Radio check, you got a copy?
Okay, go ahead.
Radio check, James, you got a copy? Yeah, I got a copy. Clear.
Check oil.
Spotter the car, you have a copy?
V-Man, you got a copy?
Okay, for 2 laps.
Okay, Tag, make sure you got your tools where you want them. If you like, we got your 0 and 4 right now.
So the engines have fired on the 24 cars, and we want to welcome everybody who's been watching the NASCAR race. Denny Hamlin wins over there. Congratulations to him and the 11 team. Stay with us because we're getting ready to go racing for 225 laps around the historic Milwaukee Mile. Got a moment? Let's take a look at our GoDaddy.com rules of racing.
Well, for the Honda overtake assist, the push to pass, to get 20 pushes, 11 seconds per push. That lasts that long. 10 seconds for the recharge time. Now 3 pit stops. We're expecting the drivers to try and get towards 65 to lap 70 with that. The bumpy pit lane, 60 miles an hour here, but I can tell you from driving here, it is a chore to get down this pit lane with all the bumps. We've heard many of the drivers talk about having patience in traffic, Marty, simply from the fact that if you make one small mistake here, you'll find yourself in the wall very quickly.
The cars roll off. We have a total of 6 onboard cameras for you today on our 225-mile race. And from the back of the field to the front, on board with Charlie Kimball, as Charlie will start 21st in this field. Moving a little bit farther forward, in the 18th starting spot, on board with the National Guard car with J.R. Hildebrand. And then we'll move up to the 15th starting position with Danica Patrick, the GoDaddy.com number 7. And then also in the number 6 of Ryan Briscoe, as he will be starting in the 8th position. He's in a bit different color, a little blue and black combination, so we'll keep you in tune with that. And then moving farther forward in the field, Ryan Hunter-Reay, 7th quickest in qualifying, and he is running GoDaddy.com colors, and it's going to be a little confusing because Mike Conway is running his usual livery. We'll keep you up to date on that as well. And there is our pole sitter, Dario Franchitti, as he also has an onboard camera for us. All right, there is the asphalt that we were talking about and the drivers have been talking about having absolutely no grip.
And everybody's going to want to run around the top side of that black area because that's where the grip is. Now, to get past people that are in front of you, you're going to have to run on the darker color to make sure that you can get underneath somebody. The thing is, will it stick? Will you slide up the track and run into the competitor that's on the high side of you? We have spotters here. The spotters will be very busy talking to the drivers, telling them when drivers are trying to charge on the inside of them. So it'll be a very active day for drivers inside the cockpit today, not only driving, Marty, but also listening to all that chatter on the radio as they circle around here at about 23 seconds per lap.
Well, we mentioned the fact that Joe Gibbs Racing won today's NASCAR race, and there's a little connection with J.R. Hildebrand. What about it, Jamie Little?
Well, he told me that he actually called J.D. Gibbs this week to ask him about Denny Hamlin when he tore his ACL last week. He wanted to know what kinds of things he can do to rehab it, and he told me, J.R. Hildebrand, that is, it was very helpful. And because of what happened at the 500, he didn't need an introduction. He was able to pick up the phone, get great information, and if you remember, Marty, last year, that torn ACL, it worked out all right for Denny Hamlin.
Yes, it did, as we're on the backstretch getting ready to go ring. Now, the farthest back a winner's ever started here, 25th and last, Mike Mosley, back in 1981. So everybody's got a shot as we come out of turn number 4. Pace cars pulled down to pit road. They come down the front straightaway, and the Milwaukee 225 is green. Oh, crash in turn number 2. Car into the wall, and it looks like
Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Ryan Hunter-Reay. We mentioned the fact he was in the 2nd GoDaddy livery, and he doesn't even make it through turn number 1.
And Marty, right now, as a driver, you're sitting inside that cockpit. When you don't get one lap underneath your belt, you look at that and you go, what a waste of a weekend. Now you can see he's on the inside of the turn. The car just comes around from underneath them. That's what we call a loose race car, when the back end of the car wants to come around. Now we're going to ride on board with him. He sees all this activity up front. Off the throttle, not too much though. The back end just comes around. So got to say, don't want to call it a driver error, but certainly the back end of the car is very loose. Let's watch ahead from Ryan Briscoe's car.
Wow, Briscoe does a nice job just to get around. There were 2 USAC races here last night. They ran Hoosier tires, but we had a heavy rainstorm this morning that washed everything off. You can see that Ryan Hunter-Reay is okay. So a green racetrack has bid its first victim. There's Michael Andretti, a 5-time winner here as a driver. He's looking to get San Marco to victory lane today. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues on ESPN Sunday and Monday night. First Sunday, 8 Eastern, Robinson Cano and the Yankees are at Wrigley Field to take on Starlin Castro and the Cubs. Then Monday Night Baseball at 7 Eastern, you've got Alex Rodriguez and the Yankees continuing their road trip at Cincinnati. They face Joey Votto and the Reds. Both games are part of the AL-NL Showdown presented by State Farm on ESPN Sunday and Monday and available online at ESPN3.com and on your phone. Ryan Hunter-Reay on the flatbed, as that's the damage that is left from our turn 1, lap 1 crash. Let's take you on board again with Ryan Briscoe. This is a nice save.
Just watch the back end of Ryan Hunter-Reay's car. Just starts to slide out, and how difficult that is for Ryan Briscoe to ride along and know exactly what to do. Now, the track is clean, Marty, because yes, we did have the Firestone Indy Lights race here earlier, but for Ryan Briscoe, he was able to go on the high side because there's no marbles up there. If that was later in the race, that would have put him in the wall.
It's not the first time that he's had to avoid disaster here at the Milwaukee Mile. Let's take you back in history to 2008. And as he comes around, watch what happens with Vitor Meira getting airborne. He's in the 6 car, dives to the left, and just gets through and ends up going on to win the race. A big day for Ryan Briscoe. Is this an omen of things to come? Remember, we talked about Simona Di Silvestro? Well, she is pitting right now as some of the cars are taking advantage since they're further back in the field. Rick, what's the update?
Well, let's talk about the weekend. You mentioned at the pre-race show about the accident she had during qualifying. She went to the hospital for observation. She was okay. But I have to tell you, well, last year somebody started calling her the Swiss Miss, which she didn't like. This year they started calling her the Swiss Missile. I'm going to call her the Iron Maiden. She's been through the accident she's had this year. I'm going to tell you that she hit very hard, almost hurt her back. She's out there racing again, and she has stitches in her leg from hitting the steering wheel, and she's still in the car. I don't know what drives this lady, but whatever it is, I don't want to get in the way of it.
Well, I hope the rock band Iron Maiden doesn't mind, because I think that's a great nickname too. Good job, because here's what happened, and here's what we're talking about. That was a hard hit, and the second one, no safer barrier on the inside.
And that's the one that she probably felt the most because it's directly back onto the gearbox of the car. The force of that impact is hitting all the way through the car. You can see it hits on the corner of that time. The second run was actually direct. It was very difficult.
Okay, let's get ready to reset it for you here, because up front, it is Castroneves and Franchitti, Dixon and Kanaan, Sato and Vizo. That is your top 6, and Franchitti comes down and takes the lead as we go back to green flag racing. Boy, he has got a rocket ship under him. He pulled away on the first start. There you see Takuma Sato. He's down underneath his teammate. That's Tony Kanaan in the 82, and they're side by side. And there's EJ Vizo right behind him in the 59.
Smart of Takuma Sato in the number 5 to let the 82 Tony Kanaan move ahead. Remember, their teammates. There's no sense at this time in the race, at the very beginning, to be side by side on a green racetrack.
Kanaan told me yesterday, he says, we have a great relationship. He says he's so technically oriented. He's like my data computer, and I'm teaching him about Indy cars. He's teaching me about the data that he learned from Formula One racing, and it seems to be working for both of them right now as they continue now in 4th and 5th place. Will Power and Alex Tagliani going side by side with each other as they're trying to work their way up through the field. That is 18th and 19th positions.
And for Will Power, the number 12 Horizon car using the lower line. Remember, they talked about not having as much grip there. Got to be careful the car does not slide and you end up getting into the high side and taking out Alex Tagliani.
Well, he actually made it work there through the low line. Vince, give us more on Will Power.
Well, when you see that Will Power started 17th, you have the tendency, if you weren't following throughout the course of the weekend, to think it's been a bad weekend for Power. That hasn't necessarily been the case, but during his qualifying run, he had a big moment in turn 3, and that hurt his qualifying time, and that's why he had to start near the back. I talked with Clive Howell, who handles his strategy, just a short while ago, and Clive said, we don't want to get off sequence. We're racing for the championship. We're racing Dario today as much as we are racing for the win. The 12 car Power will certainly be keeping an eye on Franchitti, who is your leader.
As we move a little bit farther forward, that's Ryan Briscoe and Justin Wilson, as that is 9th and 10th on the racetrack, and Briscoe starting to open up just a little bit of ground.
I like the way Ryan Briscoe drives. He's a smart driver. Reminds me a lot of Rick Mears. Very calculated in what he does. Very smooth. He's got good feedback.
Clear by 3. Good work.
And really thinks about the whole race. I think he really divides things up and marches forward. And you can see Simona Di Silvestro now, Marty, out of the car.
Rick, what's happened down there on the 78?
Well, you have to understand a couple things. Number one, this car was damaged pretty severely yesterday. Last night, the crew was here working on it, trying to put it back together until 3 this morning. They really didn't have a backup car standing by ready to go. She went out, she did a few laps. They just realized the car is not where it needs to be. You can imagine how frustrating it is for Simona Di Silvestro to have gone through everything she's gone through, being willing to go back out there. And I can tell you, every time you meet Simona, she is a cheerful, friendly person. This morning, I think this had kind of gotten the better of her. I think she was in that state of mind where she was going to try really hard, but the car just wasn't there.
All right, thank you. And a tough break for Simona Di Silvestro. Let's correct one other thing. Scoring had Castroneves as the leader. That has been corrected. Franchitti has led all 15 laps here. And then we'll be back after a word from our ABC stations. Back here at the Milwaukee Mile, Alex Tagliani has problems. The pole sitter at Indianapolis, he is slow and he is already a lap down in 24th. What's going on, Vince?
The big problem for Tagliani has just been the car that he's had to work with this weekend. Their best car, which is their best oval car, they're saving for Iowa next week because of a shortage of parts. So Alex is driving a car that has been used only for a brief test at Sebring. It is not good. It hasn't been good all weekend, and Alex hasn't been happy about it either.
You can see he is getting freight train as there are 3 cars in the last 4 seconds that have gone by.
And watch his steering wheel. You saw that just a moment ago. The thing is just walking itself around, and I can tell you, I've had cars like that in the past, and at this place here, there is no place to hide on this 1 mile track. You come up to the turns every about 8 or 9 seconds. That is a loose race car, a nervous race car, and what he's trying to do is just keep the thing on the track. Now it looks like he's decided, and the team has told him, why don't you come in? You're going to crash the thing against the wall. Let's go in, put a new set of tires on it, make a change. Maybe we can see if something's broken on the car, but that is a difficult race car he's driving right now, Marty.
There is, on the right side of your screen, that is Dario Franchitti as he is continuing to put cars a lap down. That's Vitor Mira. He went a lap down. They're in a backup car in that AJ Foyt machine as on the first day of practice. he ended up crashing that primary car. Vince, let's send it to you.
Yeah, they just cannot find a comfortable balance for Alex Tagliani. As you guys have noted, they're going to take 2 turns out of front wing and put 4 fresh Firestone tires for Alex Tagliani and hope it helps.
Well, for Alex, Vince, it may help for about 10 or 15 laps, but he wants it to go sure it goes about 55 or 60. That's what he's looking.
Dario Franchitti, a 1.2-second lead over Elio Castroneves. Tony Kanaan has moved up to 3rd. Sato has moved up to 4th, and Dixon has dropped to 5th. But Jamie Little has caught up with a very disappointed Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Well, he was our first caution of the day on lap 1. Ryan, what happened with you or your race car that ended up getting you in the wall?
I'm not sure what happened. It's you just lost the rear of the car. You know, it went into turn 1, and I went in there somewhat cautious too, and the rear just kept coming around. So it's unfortunate. It happens. I think that's the first time I've ever crashed out of an oval in the first lap. It's unfortunate. The guys gave me a great car this weekend. We qualified 7th, which is our highest oval qualifying position together as a team. So we were heading in the right direction. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, and we'll have to take it to Iowa. We're really looking to represent Sundrop DHL and GoDaddy here this weekend in a great way, but wasn't meant to be. We'll keep our heads down and keep working on it.
And we just got finished saying that this is his favorite racetrack. Marty, Ryan Hunter-Reay's day is over.
And while you were talking to Ryan, we were watching the battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. There is Elio Castroneves with a determined Tony Kanaan and Takuma Sato in the 5 right behind him. So the KV Racing Technology duo really making their presence known. Dixon 5th and EJ Vizo is in 6th. Let's get an update. Vince Welch.
The one thing about Tony Kanaan, a 2-time winner here at Milwaukee, is he made the comment to me earlier today that you just never know what you're going to get out of Milwaukee, and he loves that fact. He says it doesn't matter if you're a former winner here or if you're here for the very first time. This place is a handful, and it can be a surprise. So far, it's not so much of a handful for Tony Kanaan, but the one thing that guy knows, it takes 225 laps, not just 31, to get where you want to go at the end of the day.
And you mentioned it, we're working lap number 31, and they're coming up on some slower traffic. That's Sebastian Saavedra and Alex Tagliani, and there goes Elio down low. He's going to be on that slippery asphalt.
Well, right now, Elio knows from his spotters and also from looking in the mirror that the guys are climbing up behind him, so he's trying to take advantage of the traffic. He does not want to get pinched out. Needs to make this move. Remember, he's on the low side where there's less grip, and he just cannot get it done. Foot back on the power, but hopefully gets the drive off of it, but it looks like Kanaan might have a better run.
Still going to try, as Saavedra does not give him any room on the concrete, and he has to back off because he learned the last time, as you pointed out, that asphalt just does not have any grip. So the battle continues now, as there is Tony Kanaan right behind him. While all this is going on, Dario Franchitti is now built a 5-second lead. It's the 4th race this year that he has led. He's in control as we go side by side at the Milwaukee 225. Let's check the motorsports calendar for the upcoming week. The NASCAR Nationwide Series, as we're here at Milwaukee. And the Nationwide Series Bucyrus 200 will be at Road America Saturday, 5 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. And then the next stop for the IndyCar Series will be at Iowa Saturday at 8 o'clock Eastern over on Versus. And NASCAR Now, presented by Shell Nitrogen, the Roundtable Monday at 5 Eastern on ESPN2. That battle for second place you're looking at right there, Helio Castroneves and Tony Kanaan, they've cut 2 seconds off of race leader Dario Franchitti's margin, and they have got a good battle going with right behind that by a few more seconds, Takuma Sato.
Well, what Helio Castroneves has to be careful of, and now he's going to go down the inside of James Jakes, the number 18 machine. He gets cleared. He wants to make sure he gets that pass done nice and cleanly, but he didn't want to try something that would not work because Tony Kanaan would have been able to take advantage of that. Now it's up to Tony to try to get underneath. The spotter would have told James Jakes in the 18 machine that you got a car hard underneath you. Now those guys have to go off pursuit of Dario Franchitti, who has run the fastest lap of the race so far, Marty, at 163.3 miles an hour. Next best one to that's just around 161 for Castroneves. So is Dario just in cruise mode right now? We'll have to wait and see.
Checking in on Ryan Briscoe as he has got 9th place right there in the number 6. And then Rahal, Graham right behind him there in the 38 as those two working their way around the far end of the racetrack.
Those are new colors, obviously, for Ryan Briscoe, and that Transitions Adaptive Lenses machine. So we're still getting used to the new colors this weekend, Marty.
There's a good shot of the blue and black combination. Right in front of them, you saw Marco Andretti. He is running in the 8th spot. And right now, Marco pretty much doing the job that he needs to do. But one guy who's not doing the job is Will Power. Power is now 16th. And with Dario Franchitti now in the lead, instead of being in the lead by 21, he would be trailing by 18 right now. So Power's got to get on the horse.
And you know, Marty, when we had that yellow at the very first lap, I was surprised because Power was so far back in the queue at that point in time. We ended up about 10 or 12 laps before we got going yet. Why they didn't bring him in for a splash of fuel? Because he was so far back and maybe tried to run off sequence.
Well, let's talk to Will Power. We talked to him earlier about having the confidence after winning his first oval last week.
Getting a win definitely gives you confidence when you're not at the track, when you're thinking about it. But I think when you're in the thick of a weekend, it's all the same. It's all about getting the most out of the car and you know, obviously having a solid race car and just working through all those little details that make you confident.
Working lap number 48, and we talked about the fact that tires would start going away about this time, and we could see some pit stops here early. They can go deeper on the fuel run, but you may be giving up too much in the traction department, as we'll find out. Oh, and look at Ryan Briscoe. He got high in the corner, and boy, now he's off the pace down the front straightaway.
Now remember, he did that the very...
7 underneath you.
That's Danica Patrick going underneath him.
Spotter information. Remember we talked, he did that in the first lap. The track was clean, no marbles. Now 50 laps, a lot of spotter information coming to him. What happens when you get up there? You end up getting top of the marbles. Let's wait and see what happens. The number 38, the Service Central machine, the Graham Rahal comes in, leaves him a little bit high. I'm not saying I like that move. You would have thought that Graham would have been back down on the low side in the dark area to make the turn. He really left Ryan Briscoe, the number 6 machine we're on board with now, high and dry. And I don't think Ryan A, expected that, and B, probably appreciated it, because now it's going to take him a few laps to get all those marbles off his tires. And as a driver, Marty, you'll remember that one.
Briscoe drops back to 15th. That's Anna Beatrice right behind him. Danica Patrick in front of him, and Will Power has now gotten around Danica, we can tell you, for 13th. There is Scott Dixon, as he is running in the 6th spot with Ed Carpenter in front of him. And all of a sudden, look at Marco Andretti, as Andretti takes the spot away from him, just diving underneath onto the asphalt. And here's Graham Rahal putting pressure on Dixon. So the racing has been interesting. Dario Franchitti hasn't seen any of it because he's led every single lap. back here at the Milwaukee Mile, where Dario Franchitti's lead has been cut. I mean, his lead over Helio Castroneves is 1.1 seconds. Tony Kanaan is running third, 3.2 back, and then it's a big drop to E.J. Vizo back to fourth. Now, a good reason why that lead could have been cut happened just a moment ago.
Watch this, comes upon traffic. He knows he's got a faster car. He's able to get back on the gas faster. And the National Guard machine with J.R. Hildebrand comes over and tails gets into his lane. Those two guys almost hit tires. Now watch the left front going past his right rear closely. Now watch Hildebrand's right front right there. He wanted to come up high. Franchitti wanted to go low. And that was almost disaster right there for Dario Franchitti.
Dario Franchitti has led every single lap of this race so far. That's Anna Beatrice right in front of him. She is in 16th spot, the last car on the lead lap. Now, one of the guys that's really put on a move since the start of the race, there's Oriol Serbia for Newman Haas Racing, as they're in their 27th start here as a team, and he has started 10th, moved all the way up to the 5th position. He is closing on E.J. Vizo for 4th. Jamie, you've got more?
And I spoke to Oriol Serbia yesterday. He said the car wasn't exactly where we wanted it. He said they had a lot of drag in it, but just now on the radio, he said the car is where we want it. They weren't happy with where they qualified, but they are moving forward. And Marty, he told me if he can run in the top 5, he can win this race.
Well, he's doing a fine job right now, as he has been steady all week long here at the mile. Let's go back to the race lead, because Dario Franchitti's margin is down to 0.2 of a second. And there you see Helio Castroneves right side of your screen. Hey, Vince, you've got more on Dario's situation?
Well, I think, Marty, when you look at guys like Dario and Helio and Tony Kanaan, Oriol Serbia, some of those drivers that are making some solid moves here in the late stages of this fuel stint, give you an indication of how well balanced their cars are, because when the tires started going off at lap 25, a lot of cars started going backwards, and that's where we saw the cream rise to the top. We're certainly seeing that from Helio here, who's starting to put a challenge on Dario, but their cars have been good throughout this fuel stint, especially late in the stint, and that's an indication that the balance of their cars has been good.
The fastest lap of the race was 22.37 seconds by Franchitti early. That last lap for Dario, 24.2. That backs up what Vince was talking about, the tires going off. There is Castroneves, third place Tony Kanaan right behind him. A good three-way battle here at the Milwaukee Mile. Anna Beatrice doing everything she can to stay on the lead lap. And we have got to be getting ready for pit stops, as we are now working lap 66. But remember, we had 6 laps of caution. That's why they can extend this fuel window. Franchitti takes a look, gets down on that asphalt. We'll be back with more action from Milwaukee after a word from our ABC station. No, wait a minute. We're going to stay here as the caution has just come out. We had contact with the wall. That's Anna Beatrice right there. She was in the process of going a lap down, and I think it's her contact with the wall. We just got a glimpse of it.
If you can stay out and pack up so we don't have to come in right now, would be good. See if you can just pack up unless the car's really hot.
Here we go back, and yes, it is Anna.
And she's up on the high side. Remember, we talked about that being down in the groove area. You get up into that high gray area, and she was probably looking in her mirrors, leaving some room for the leaders that were coming up behind her, because she was getting the blue move-over flag from the starter stand. But as a rookie here, she's also raced on the mile ovals before, but first time here in IndyCar, she just learned a very hard lesson.
Now, she entered a closed pit, so obviously she'll have to go to the back of the field for the restart. But obviously she needed to get in and get those tires and everything checked. And we'll get ready for our first round of pit stops here under the caution, our second of the day, as we have completed 67 of the 225 laps. And it has been a handy race.
This lap.
As Milwaukee usually
behind
is.
You'll have to get around his guys, bud.
Pace car brings them around turn number 4. And here they come, and we'll send it down to Jamie Little.
And Elio Castroneves' best start of the year, second right here. He was closing on leader Dario Franchitti. Says the car is just a bit loose. They're going to put 4 Firestone Firehawks on there for Elio Castroneves. Vince Welch?
Tony Kanaan in the middle of your screen loves his race car. They'll just put 4 Firestones, no changes. Dario Franchitti on the bottom of your screen says it's sliding on both ends. He doesn't know what to change, though, so they just gave him 4 fresh Firestones, and off they go.
Issues on pit road for Scott Dixon, as they have just finally gotten him turned, and they had to even come out and jack him up and turn him into the box.
Let's have a good stop here, guys. That was fucking Sato.
A huge problem, and I think we had a word on the air there that we didn't want. We apologize for that, folks. That was one of the spotters. We'll take a quick break. We'll sort it out for you after this word from our ABC stations. All right, we're back under our second caution, and a lot has changed because of what happened on pit road. Takuma Sato ends up coming out in 14th spot. He actually missed his box. Now, here's a couple of angles of what happened. That is a tire that's come off of Sato's area. There's Tony Kanaan coming out. And let's give you a wider view of it, and this shows you a lot better what happens.
Now, we're not clear if it's a wheel and tire from, you can see right now with Dario Franchitti trying to get into his pit lane, and Sato was directly behind him, so it seems like there was a mix-up there at that point in time. It looks like one of those wheels and tire combinations ended up getting hit. Now, this scenario here was Sato, as he finally finds his correct pit box, ends up hitting his crew member, and that delayed his stop and put him way back in the queue.
So that's what hung up Dixon. He's now shown in 13th position. Sato back to 14th. Briscoe also was involved because of the jockeying of position. He's dropped to 15th. And Dario Franchitti, again, doesn't know what all the exciting action he's missing behind him because he's still in the race lead. Hey, it's summer's wildest new game show. You answer trivia questions to win big cash, but you get them wrong and you're ejected in the most extreme way ever seen. It's the premiere of 101 Ways to Leave a Game Show, and it's Tuesday, June 21st, 9 Eastern on ABC. On board with Charlie Kimball, as Kimball at the tail end of the lead lap right now, shown in 18th position. James Jakes shown in 19th.
For Charlie, when I spoke with him yesterday, he knows he's a rookie here. He says, I just want to complete the race and get it finished so I can understand what goes on at this racetrack. anytime you're a rookie here, you're really going to school on this 1 mile track. There's no track like it. We've heard the drivers talk about it before. Really no banking here, what to speak of. It's not like being at Texas the other weekend where the banking helps and assists you. You really drive Texas by the front of the car, a lot of load in the right front because of the banking. Here at Milwaukee, the track is so quick that you drive it off the right rear, and sometimes you have difficulty believing the car will be okay through the turn.
Vitor Meira is out of his race car. Don't know exactly what the reason is. As we mentioned, they crashed the primary car the first day of practice, and he has climbed out of the 14 AJ Foyt machine. So no chance for victory for AJ. Now, there are several cars in front of our race leader as Dario Franchitti, and those cars have not pitted yet. Hildebrand, Conway, and Kimball. Now we talk about, as we get ready for the double file restarts, we asked Tony Kanaan about that situation and the issue. Here's his reply.
That will take time to adjust, and as a race car drivers, that we have no patience. Our first thought was, oh, this is not going to work, and right now it's definitely, in my opinion, I was the first one to say that I didn't think it was going to work, and then it's working.
And we'll be seeing that double file restart in a matter of moments when we go back to green flag racing. We'll go side by side as they're still making cleanup and repairs here under our second caution. Stay with us. Just going back to green flag racing here as we're working lap number 80 at the Milwaukee Mile. It was Franchitti, Castroneves, Kanaan, Serbia, Vizo. That's your top five. The four wave-around cars are coming back out on the track in a crash. The 19 of Alex Lloyd and Sebastian Zavedra as they make contact down in turn 2. And our third caution of the day quickly comes out.
Alex, are you all right?
No response, but it looks like both drivers are moving. And the Hamaltro safety crew on the scene. The four cars that took the wave around were Hildebrand, Conway, Kimball, and Jakes. We'll see where they shake out when the yellow came out. let's go back and show you exactly what happened to these two that brought out our third caution.
Looks like the 19 of Alex Lloyd just starts to come around, Marty, and then unfortunately for Sebastian Saavedra, the number 34, just a little bit of a loose race car, very close to what we saw with Ryan Hunter-Reay at the beginning of the race on lap 1. So very difficult for both these drivers because one has a car that steps out from underneath them, the 19, the Boy Scout of America car with Alex Lloyd. The 34, Sebastian Saavedra, gets taken out just because he happens to be a victim.
And we're still waiting for Alex to get out of the race car to make sure that he's okay. The crew is still working. Looks like they're having a little trouble maybe with the steering wheel. Let's go back and take another look.
A very active racetrack right now, and you can see there again, he's very close to the 67 machine, the yellow car that was just in front of him, who might have been tightening up his line just a little bit, and that was Ed Carpenter driving the direct supply machine. So maybe he just didn't get enough of an outside track where he wanted to get up towards the wall with cool tires and everything of that nature. But irregardless, the car came around. He ends up taking out the 34, Sebastian Saavedra, as you mentioned. It's a situation where Sebastian really had nowhere to go, Marty.
All right, we'll keep you posted on what's going to happen here with Alex Lloyd. There's also a possible development. Those 3 of those 4 cars that made the wave around. We'll bring you up to date on that as we go side by side. There's the damage, and you saw on side by side that Alex Lloyd is out and on his way to the infield medical care center. And there is AJ Foyt still talking it over with Vitor Meira. And we talk about the fact he's won here 4 times as a driver. And take a look at the owners and the number of years they've been competing here at Milwaukee. He's second only to Roger Penske. And Jamie?
And AJ Foyt talking to his driver, Vitor Meira. They crashed in practice, went to a backup car. AJ, what finally led you guys to decide to park it?
Well, actually, I brought it in because the weight jacker was reading backwards on the numbers. We weren't correlating with him, and he was having so much trouble out there. And well, I crashed another car because we were having so much tire buildup that, you know, we wasn't running fast enough to keep the tires clean. That makes it that much worse. So there's nothing we could do. And, you know, the points pay about the same from 12th on back, and it don't pay no money. So why take a chance of crashing another car? We just look forward to Iowa next weekend.
Well, AJ, you're a dad, you're a grandpa, you're a great-grandfather. Great story this weekend on the tire ramp. You see there, you're racing for all dads. Somebody actually came to you in memory of his dad, Kenny Jacoby, and wrote you a check but you sent the check back. Why?
Well, that's quite true. You know, you like to do good things. People's done a lot of good things for me, and you know, the guy sent us a cashier's check for $5,000. I said, no, I'm just glad to do something for other people too. And you know, I wish it would have turned out better for all of us, but you know, you got to take the good and the bad in racing. That's the reason they call it racing.
That's right. A lot of dads on this team, including their driver Vitor Meira and AJ Foyt. Marty?
Great stuff, J-Man. Nice touch by the legendary AJ Foyt. We're still cleaning up our third caution. Stay with us. Dario Franchitti is still the race leader. After a word.
ESPN's coverage of the IZOD IndyCar Series at Milwaukee on ABC. Brought to you by GoDaddy.com. Domains, websites, and everything in between.
That's Milwaukee today. This is what Milwaukee looked like through the years, as of course it started out as a dirt track. And boy, I'll tell you what, some of the names that have won here, as we told you, Roger Ward right there, he won the most times here, 7. Michael Andretti won 5, 8 others with 4 wins, including the man we talked to just before the break, the legendary AJ Foyt. All right, as we get ready to go back to green flag racing, let's update you quickly on one of the guys who had a major issue, Takuma Sato. You saw that he struck the crew member. Well, that is a penalty, and he is going to have a pass-through penalty after we go back to green flag racing, and this is what got him the penalty.
You watch on the left-hand side, he takes the crewman out. The crewman lands. Obviously, a lot of safety going on now because they have a helmet on. And Vince Welsh, you have more?
Well, Takuma Sato is going to come in and just get a top off of fuel. Then he will go back out, and when the green flag waves, that's when he must serve his drive-through penalty for striking Ryan Sandlin. Sandlin, the outside tire carrier, you saw him being struck. He is okay, no injury from that. It's been a difficult week all the way around for Takuma Sato. Of course, it's Father's Day here in the U.S., and it brings a heavy heart for Sato, whose father passed away on Wednesday at the young age of 62. In fact, Takuma wearing a black armband today in honor and memory of his dad. So racing with a heavy heart, and certainly the weekend of racing hasn't gone all that well for him here today at Milwaukee.
And we send our condolences as well to Takuma Sato and his family. Now there is Mike Conway. Now he is taking advantage. Now he is one of the 4 that took the wave around before this third caution came out, and he was the only one lucky enough to be in front of race leader Dario Franchitti when this third caution came out. So he is back on the lead lap. Hildebrand, Kimball, and James Jakes are still 1 lap down. As we get ready to go green flag racing, it'll be Franchitti and Castroneves. Franchitti down on the low side, then Canal, Serbia, Andretti, Viso. That's your top 6. And you heard it. We're back to green flag racing here at Milwaukee. Another great restart for Franchitti. Boy, he just opens up a big margin. When he's got fresh tires, look out.
Able to put what we call power down, put his foot on the gas, no tire spin, and accelerate away out of the turn. A couple of lap cars that everybody's dealing with up the front there. You see a lot of guys that are not on the lead lap, sort of in the mix of things. On the top side of your screen right now, the number 4, J.R. Hildebrand.
That was Charlie Kimball as he was almost came down on the 82. And here comes Takuma Sato. We'll tell you he is serving his pass-through penalty as we speak.
You're gonna have to hustle.
You heard him say he's going to have to hustle. He's just exited pit lane.
Okay, bud, get going, get going. Dario's coming by me now. You gotta have to hustle. Let's hustle.
He says hustle. He does not want to go down a lap.
There's Danica Patrick trying to get underneath her teammate. We can tell you it looks like Sato is going to be successful on staying on the lead lap, which here at the Milwaukee Mile is pretty impressive. Danica's got her hands full right now with James Hinchcliffe, and that is a battle for 8th position. Boy, and he's on the outside and he takes it.
You know, he had a car that he was not trusting earlier in this week. When I spoke to him, he said, you know what, I'm just going to put my teammate setup on, and that's what he went out and qualified with. He was just now getting used to the car because he said, I was going in the wrong direction. I don't have the experience here. We talked about rookies really going to school at this track, and now he thinks that he has something that he can at least finish and be comfortable with his teammate, Oriol Servia, up there in 3rd.
That's right. It's Franchitti, Canal, Serbia, Castroneves, and E.J. Viso running in 5th place right now. There you see Viso. He's got his mirrors full of the 38 of Graham Rahal. This is the best battle we've got going, and it is for that 5th spot.
You're clear.
2 different lines you can see being utilized right there. And for Rahal, he ended up getting a little bit of dirty air coming off the turn. Maybe he had to get out of the throttle just a little bit. It allows the opportunity for Marco Andretti in the Venom Energy machine to have a look at it. Right now, he's trying to make that pass.
Rahal now opens up a little bit more margin there and retains that position. Viso, of course, coming off his best weekend of the year last weekend at Texas. Talked to Jimmy Vasser earlier the week, co-owner of the team. He said the best part about that whole deal, every car went back on the trailer in one piece. They've had a lot of crash damage. Here goes a pass by Graham Rahal underneath. Now he's on that very slick asphalt. Whoa, he rides up. Look out. Oh, what a save by Viso. I thought he was going to the wall.
But, you know, Viso made a mistake coming out of 2. It allowed Rahal to have that run, and that's where Viso's got to think, okay, it's not the last lap of the race. I made a mistake. Let him get past, and I'll collect myself and go on past and try and catch back up to him. Now he came a little bit low coming out of 2 to try and stop the run of Marco Andretti in the 26 machine. Marco pays the price for it right now.
And right behind him, he's got James Hinchcliffe. This is Hinchcliffe's best run. He is doing a fine job right now. He is the best running rookie in the field.
This track is all about momentum, Marty. You have to carry the speed in the turn, through mid-turn, and the exit, or you'll be a sitting duck by the time you get down to the next end of the track.
Getting closer to the midway mark, and let's show you our Firestone lap leaders. It won't take us a lot of time, as you'll see only one name on this board. It will be that man right there, Dario Franchitti. He has led every single lap since the drop of the green flag.
Both Scott Dixon and Dario Franchitti.
3.4 back with a lap car between you.
Talking about Tony Kanaan being 3.4 seconds behind them, but talking to both Franchitti and Dixon the other day and talking about the colors of Dario's car, who we ride along with right now. And Scott says, yes, it's the Downey machine. It's a soft and cuddly car. I think that maybe Scott Dixon thinks he wished he'd be in the soft and cuddly car right now.
Well, just to update you, Will Power is running in the 13th position right now, and the points would swing with Dario taking a 15-point margin unless Power can gain more ground. While we're watching the action on the track, you see Scott Dixon. He's trying to fight his way back. He's now back into the 10th position, and there is Alex Lloyd. Rick DeBrule's caught up with him.
Yeah, standing by with the very obviously disappointed Alex Lloyd. You say you're not really sure what happened.
No, I mean, we had contact with JR at the beginning of the race, which was my fault. I came up, I didn't know he was on the outside of me, and I I came up into him, and that hit my right rear, and we had a huge vibration during that first stint. I was hoping it was something to do with the tires, and I don't know, honestly. We changed tires, obviously it just got started then. Somebody told me Ed may have come into the side of me. Again, I have no idea. All I know is we got loose, and I caught it once and then couldn't catch a second time, and then unfortunately, we were in the wall and we took Sebastian with us, which is a shame, but it's disappointing for the Boy Scouts guys. It was a big hit that we didn't need. We were having a bit of a tough start to the race, but we were hanging in there, and I think if we could have continued to hang in there, we could have had a decent result, but not to be.
Alex Lloyd out of the race.
All right, it is on the left side of your screen to see the nose damage on the number 9 of Scott Dixon.
And usually what ends up happening with that, if it stays there, then he can maybe make some adjustments inside the cockpit for that with his roll bars, and also has what we call a weight jacker to move some weight on the front wheels from left to right or right to left. He can probably adjust for that. If it comes off completely or starts to drag in the ground, he'll probably have to come in and change it. That will certainly cost him time on the racetrack.
You're on board with Danica Patrick. She's running right in front of the number 9 as she's 9th, he's 10th. They're all chasing Dario Franchitti at lap 108. Here at the Milwaukee Mile, 7th race in the 2011 IZOD IndyCar Series. You see that was Scott Dixon trying to get around the lap traffic of J.R. Hildebrand. His teammate up front, Dario Franchitti, leads by 0.7 of a second. You see that Dixon has now cleared that lap vehicle. In second place, it is Tony Kanaan, and all of a sudden, Kanaan shoots around the number 10 and takes the lead. So our first lead change right after the midway point. Dixon, or I should say Franchitti, has clinched the 2 bonus points for leading the most laps. But all of a sudden, Tony Kanaan, a 2-time winner here at Milwaukee, shoots past Dario Franchitti. And again, it's as we're getting into this run, the tires seem to go off quicker on that number 10 car.
And I think we saw a little bit of that in the first segment when we had a long run. It was Elio Castroneves at that time, seemed to be able to gain a little bit closer to the backside of Dario Franchitti. And in that scenario, it looks like maybe their long run is not as strong as they would like it to be. Now, they will start thinking what they need to do to change that car to improve it for this next pit stop to hopefully help Dario Franchitti be able to keep that car at pace throughout his whole fuel run.
You saw the 82 go around Takuma Sato as that puts Sato a lap down. 14 cars now on the lead lap. Let's go on board with Franchitti. See what happened here.
You can hear the throttle. He's off of the throttle, Dario Franchitti. You're riding on board with him right now. Had to go down a gear.
Clear by 1. Looking inside. He's inside. Inside. All clear behind us.
Boy, he made it stick on the asphalt, too.
Yeah, and great information from the spotter, too. But you can really see how slow Franchitti was coming out of 2. Down a gear, off the throttle. And that really allowed Tony Kanaan to really surge forward.
Remember when the 27 of Mike Conway got that lap back by the wave around and was able to stay there before the third caution came out? Well, he just went a lap down again. So now Will Power is next in line in 13th position to go 1 lap down.
Wow, who would have ever thought that you'd be telling me that right there? You know, when I talked to Will the other day, he said the thing that they are having a little bit of difficulty with in his mind is consistency. Consistency at all the racetracks, consistency from all the different style of tracks that they have. And he said, you know, if anything's going to hurt us, that's going to hurt us.
For Tony Kanaan's second consecutive race that he has led, he only led 3 races all of last year. And of course, that was when he was driving for Andretti Autosport. And he talked to us about the changeover to KV Racing Technology, his new team.
Sometimes you don't realize, but we all need a fresh start. I think it was healthy for the team, for Michael's team, and it was healthy for me. Although it broke my heart when we had to go apart, and I know it was tough on them too.
Well, he has opened up a 1.9-second lead over Franchitti. Serbia is third, 3.5 seconds behind the front runner. Then it's Castroneves and Rahal rounding out the top 5.
Plus 2 seconds to Dario, 2 seconds to Dario.
There's the fathers in the field. Now, a couple of them are already out of this race, Vitor Meira and Alex Lloyd, but why don't we do a Father's Day up to field? And let's start off with the man who's running up front, Vince.
Well, Tony Kanaan, a proud father of son Leonardo, 4 years old, lives in Brazil. They're going to be hooking up in Toronto soon, but let's go back to Marty. We got a crash.
And in turn number 4 of Milwaukee, is this deja vu for J.R. Hildebrand or what?
Now, Marty, he was obviously having Tony Kanaan go past him. Was it one of those scenarios where he ended up being just on the high side, getting those right side wheels into the marbles we talked about before? You can see team owner, chief operating officer, John Barnes, a little disappointed, headset off, and he knows the day is done.
JR was 2 laps down at the time, running in 19th. Let's go back, take another look.
You can see on your left-hand side, the 82 machine, Tony Kanaan has just gone past the National Guard car, and he's just a little bit high up on the ground. Now watch here, on board with J.R. Hildebrand. Just turns in a little bit too late. That right side gets into the light gray area, and bam. No opportunity. As I always say, you become a passenger at that point in time. It seems like eternity when you're sitting in the car. Happens very quickly. Had that happen in my career. An ugly feeling.
Not to bring up a sore subject, you drove for John Barnes. What's his reaction going to be?
John wants results, and John is very tough to drive for, and we won races with John. We had a good run, and not to say that you know, I did not have battles with him. I know other drivers that I've driven for him have had battles with him before, and it will be interesting to see how long this can continue right now for J.R. Hildebrand, because John is not one that puts up with cars crashing or drivers not giving results for very long. When we sat and walked into the trailer, Marty, the other day, if you can recall, he was sitting there with his engineer, and JR was just sort of trying to figure out what to do with the car. With the exception of Indianapolis, he's not really been up there in contention of winning. And even on the road courses, which he has a background on, they have been off pace with the exception of Indianapolis. It's going to be tough.
Our 4th caution is a huge break for points leader Will Power. Remember, we told you he was in 13th. He was about to go 1 lap down. And now the caution cam comes out, and so we'll have a round of pit stops here with 125 laps complete. So as they come on down, let's go to Rick DeBrule.
Danica Patrick bings it in. She's got the advantage of having the very first pit stall. No problem getting in, but she will have to worry about Justin Wilson's car to get out. She's been working hard smoothly to take care of her tires. She's very happy with it. Jamie?
And Oriol Servia in the number 2 car. Fill it up. 4 tires, much more progressive this time. Vince.
Franchitti, bottom of your screen, took some front wing with 4 fresh Firestones. Tony Kanaan, no changes. That's how good his race car is.
The Sunoco race off pit road. You can see Kanaan Franchitti holds station. Castro Neves picks up 1. Vizo picks up 2. And look at Briscoe. Good stop for the number 6 crew. Ray Hall drops 1. And there's the number 4 National Guard car on the hook here as we go back to a bad memory for JR. The final corner, the final lap, trying to get around Charlie Kimball. He got back on the hammer, but there came Dan Weldon as he gets the win, and the heartbreak goes to the number 4 crew. Stay with us. Back here at the Milwaukee Mile, there is Oriol Servia. Remember, he was in 3rd place coming in. He is in 12th place, and here's the reason why.
Now watch the left front tire changer. Will be the right front to us. The tire is going to come off. He'll put the new wheel on. Then he goes to with his wheel gun and puts the wheel gun back on. Watch him hit the button, though. When the car goes back down, back up, he'll hit the button. That's a 2-way gun, and I only suspect that maybe he didn't hit the button when he took the first wheel off. It's something the wheelman has to do, so the gun will go in the opposite direction to put the wheel nut back on.
Cost him 9 positions, and he's going to have to fight his way back. He'll line up right alongside Scott Dixon. Now, Dario Franchitti, who has led the most laps, let's go back to his pit stop. He had a close call.
Threading the needle, as we talk about this all the time, and yes, he hit a piece of equipment. So the question is now, will the IRL officials decide that will be a penalty, or was the tires sitting out there too far out into Will Power's pit lane?
This is the shortest pit box that we race on all year, 36 feet. What are you hearing, Vince?
Well, it was interesting to see the crewmen, you'd think that the crewmen would be upset with one another because of that situation, could damage the car of Franchitti and obviously could harm the Team Penske crew member, but the crews got together afterwards, talked it over, patted one another on the back and went forward. So no harm, no foul, at least as far as the crew members are concerned.
All right, well, we're still waiting to see what is going to be the determination from race officials as this could be extremely costly for Dario Franchitti, who's shown in second position behind Tony Kanaan. While we're still under our fourth caution, let's get you updated on the motorsports calendar, because the NASCAR Nationwide Series Bucyrus 200 comes from Road America next Saturday, 5 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Then the IZOD IndyCar Series at Iowa, that's Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, with our friends over on Versus. And NASCAR Now, presented by Shell Nitrogen. The down table is Monday, 5 Eastern on ESPN2. So a tough break for Oriol Servia. There you see him coming through, as Newman Haas has 7 wins here at Milwaukee in their 26 previous starts, and he's going to have to fight his way back. Let's get an update from pit road. Jamie Little.
Well, somebody to keep an eye on is EJ Viso. After struggling this year, 3 DNFs, he's having his best weekend so far, coming off 2 top 10 finishes at Texas. This team is fired up. They put off some great times today during their pit stops. EJ has a great car. They think they can get the job done. These KB cars are something to watch today, Marty.
All right, and we have just been told from race officials there will be no penalty to the 10 car. No penalty. So Dario Franchitti dodges a bullet. He stays in that number 2 position. And you can see everybody forming up now for the restart, as it'll be Tony Kanaan on the inside. The 6th race that Kanaan has led at Milwaukee ties him with Helio Castroneves as the most among the active drivers here at the mile.
Makes you one.
Little gamemanship going on here. Tony trying to keep him wide going into 3.
As we get ready to go back to green flag racing, it's time for the IZOD Speed Zone.
Green, 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 green.
Oh, we talked about the acceleration of the 10 car with Dario Franchitti. Even though Tony Kanaan got the jump, it's amazing what the car does on the restart.
So it is Franchitti, Kanaan, Castroneves, Viso, and Rahal now in 5th, and Will Power and Dixon going after each other. That is 11th place on the racetrack. The battle for 6th. Marco Andretti going around Ryan Briscoe. So move Marco up a spot.
Like that. 3.
Danica Patrick trying to get around James Hinchcliffe. That is for the 8th position. Remember, Danica started 15th. Here we go again with Power and Dixon. That is for 11th on the track.
Oh, ran him high on the exit of 4. Power didn't like it. He's going to come back and charge on the inside.
Oh, and he does it. Whoa, what a couple of corners for these guys.
We talked about rivalry, and here comes Dixon. He's going to come back. This is brewing up this season, guys. Penske against Ganassi. It's so close.
Man,
drove it.
I thought the wheels were going to touch on that one for sure.
This is going to get better, guys. I tell you, as it goes right now.
Servia right in front of him. All he can do is glance in his mirrors and say, thank goodness I'm not in that mess. He's trying to pull away from him, but here comes the 12 of Will Power. If you're wondering about the points championship, Power came in with the lead. If he doesn't move up farther, he could be as much as 13 points back as it stands right now. Looking now at the 4th place battle. That was Viso and Rahal. Viso in the 59, Rahal right behind him.
Remember your overtake, you're getting some good runs now.
You hear his team telling him about the overtake. Remember that
Marco,
Honda.
kill this tire. He's not up front anymore. Let's focus on Viso. Clear by 15.
You heard him talk about the overtakes. Let's talk about that again.
The Honda Overtake Assist, a button that the driver pushes on his steering wheel to give him an extra 200 RPMs and about 10 horsepower. Now they get 20 pushes of that button. It lasts for 11 seconds, and it takes another 10 seconds to recharge. But what I like to say about that, it's like a debit card. You continue using it early on, and you will not have anything left in the bank by the end of the race. And I've noticed that the top drivers right now have only used it a few times. Franchitti has 14 pushes left, Kanaan 13, Castroneves 17. So you're going to want some of those for the end of the event, because you know your competitor will certainly have some left in the bank.
You guys should go to the power sooner.
You're running fast laps, dude. You're as fast as Tony is. Just we need to work on timing your passing, getting close to people.
Interesting comment from the team there. He's got the speed, but he's just got to do a little better job sizing up his competition.
Absolutely. Timing the pass. It doesn't matter if you're driving Indy cars or Firestone Indy Light cars or go-karts. You have to set them up in turns 1 and 2 to be able to get them in 3 and 4. Time your pass so you have the momentum, you have the speed on corner exit down the straight, and surprise him going into the next turn.
Well, Fizo's best finish here was back in 2008. He came home in 8th. The guy chasing him, Graham Rahal, back in 2009. Finished in 4th, so they both can get around the Milwaukee Mile. But the guy they're all chasing right now, Dario Franchitti. We'll be back after a word from our ABC station. Back here at the Milwaukee Mile, where it is Dario Franchitti leading Tony Kanaan. And we've got a moment. Let's talk about ABC Tuesday, June 21st. A new drama series takes you to the most dangerous place on earth. Life on the edge means doing things you never thought possible. It's ABC's Combat Hospital, and the series premiere is Tuesday, June 21st, 9 Central on ABC. 74 laps to go, and we're trying to do our Father's Day up to speed. We'll start off with second place Tony Kanaan once again, and here's Vince.
We'll see if we can get a little further through it this time, but we had mentioned before that Tony does have a son, Leonardo, lives in Brazil. They look forward to being together again at Toronto, and maybe they'll have a victory to celebrate because Tony Kanaan certainly has been good and continues to stalk Dario Franchitti here today. Jamie?
And right behind him, Elio Castroneves. His weekend got off to a great start. His best start of the year is second, and this morning it got even better. While signing some autographs, his girlfriend brought their 17-month-old daughter, Michaela, to surprise her daddy, Elio Castroneves. He had a big smile on his face. He's told us there's a change for a lead. Wow, a three-way battle as they go around Ed Carpenter, who is a few laps down, and we have a new leader, guys.
And we'll get back to that Father's Day up to speed. Somebody out there just doesn't want us to be able to get through all the dads today that are out racing on the track. But Tony doesn't mind. He's a dad, and he's got the lead again.
Well, and you know, we talked before about as the run goes on, it seems like Tony's car gets a little stronger. Dario's maybe falls off just a little bit.
All right, as he continues to pull away, and let's go back to Vince with Scott Dixon in 9th.
See Scott Dixon in that 9 car currently running 12th. Dixon with a daughter named Poppy, and his wife Emma is pregnant with a second child due in October, also a daughter. And maybe this is a scoop, guys, because Emma just told me that they promised that they would go for a third since they've had 2 girls. They're still trying for that boy. So somewhere down the road, hopefully Scott Dixon will get that son he's looking for. Rick?
Well, Justin Wilson right now is in 13th place on the track. He's had a weekend where he could kind of devote it to racing, and maybe Father's Day, but his 2 kids are back in Colorado with his wife. I did talk about his dad, though, before we started the race, and he was saying his dad has a company sort of similar to Safety Clean, deals with solvents, and it was an important part of his life, of course, in getting him into the car and his whole family into racing. Vince?
At Takuma Sato, we've addressed some of the issues that Sato has had throughout the course of the day. When in certainly on pit road, his car has actually been good out on the racetrack, but he struggled on pit lane. Sato with a son and a daughter. They make their home in Denver, where the Satos live. Takuma hoping that he has a better finish than what the first half of the race has been. And of course, we also mentioned earlier, Takuma lost his father earlier this week. Ed Carpenter also in the mix. Carpenter has had a very tough weekend. The car has been a handful throughout. They've been chasing it throughout the course of the weekend. He has 2 kids, and his son Ryder actually fell at the track on Friday and suffered a cut on his forehead, had to have 10 stitches. So it's been a tough week all the way around for the Carpenters. But Ryder's up in the grandstand watching his dad get after it here today.
And since we're giving race results, tip of the hat to Vince Welch on Father's Day. His son Dylan yesterday sat on pole for the midget race here. His first time on the mile. He ended up finishing 6th. Congratulations to everything. And whoa, as the action continues out on the track, that is Ryan Briscoe as he goes flying around Graham Rahal. And Briscoe has fought his way back into the top 5 now. So as we are working lap number 160 at 2:25, we're going to take you side by side. It's Tony Kanaan in front by 0.3 of a second. Well, you see on side-by-side and now full screen, E.J. Vizo. And after coming off a 7th and a 10th last weekend at Texas, he finds the wall for the 4th time this year during a race out of the 7 races. And this has been his problem. There's Jimmy Vasser. He has these moments that he's shown a lot of promise, like last weekend. And all of a sudden, he brings out our 5th caution of the day here at the Milwaukee Mile.
We don't know what caused his accident as of yet, but a great driver in many respects. Very likable. Remember when he came on the scene a couple of years ago in a rain delay at Indianapolis, he went off and found himself a unicycle. Taught himself how to ride it, and he was going up and down the garage area of Indianapolis, entertaining people with it.
Way at the top of your screen on this replay that we're going to be on board with Ryan Briscoe. This may be the only view. We're still looking for more, but keep an eye way at the top left, and there he goes.
So in a scenario like that, did something happen to the car? Did the driver overdrive it? Sometimes there's a mechanical issue with the car, and all of a sudden something happens, and the driver's just a passenger, goes off and hits the wall.
Pits are open, 59 to go. This could be the money stop because we've gone longer than this, even with the caution laps included. Jamie Little, sending it to you.
And Elio Castroneves says he has understeer up high, but he said just leave it. They're going to put 4 tires on, fill it up with Sunoco fuel, Vince.
Tony Kanaan in the middle of your screen, no changes. There's 4 fresh Firestones. They haven't touched that race car today. Dario Franchitti on the bottom of your screen says the car's a little bit tight. They're going to give him a half a turn, a front wing, and race it off pit lane.
Wow, and the race off pit road. As you can see, Castroneves picks up 2. Kanaan drops 2. Hinchcliffe. And boy, James is making his presence known. And Will Power, boy, did he need a big stop. Ryan Briscoe lost a half a dozen. ESPN's coverage of Major League Baseball continues on ESPN Sunday and Monday night. First, on Sunday Night Baseball, 8 Eastern, we've got the Yankees at Wrigley Field to take on the Cubs. And then Monday Night Baseball at 7 Eastern, the Yankees continue the road trip into Cincinnati. They go up against the Reds. Both games are part of the AL-NL Showdown presented by State Farm on ESPN Sunday and Monday. It's available online and at ESPN3.com and on your phone. We're checking in on Ryan Briscoe because he lost a half a dozen spots on the track during that pit stop. It's easy for me to say, and it wasn't easy for the crew, and we'll show you exactly what happened.
Well, this scenario comes in, he hits his mark perfectly. All the crewmen go to work, and you'll see the jack man, the air jack is starting to go in there. That is going to be stuck by the time they get their service work done, and he wants to leave. You can see that the car is still up in the air. They're fighting with it. He finally gets it down, and then he's able to engage gear and then leave pit lane, but the damage is done. He's lost a lot of time, Marty.
He's going to restart in the 10th position as he'll be right alongside Scott Dixon. And up front, it is Helio Castroneves, our third different leader, and 4 lead changes. And it'll be Dario Franchitti right alongside, then Tony Kanaan third, and James Hinchcliffe, the rookie, in 4th position. Now, he has raced once here in the Indy Lights Series. There he is in the 06 car going through your screen. He started in 2009, finished 7th in that race.
Well, you know, and aboard that Sprott IndyCar machine right now, I'll tell you, I spoke to him the other day, and he goes, Indy Lights car is one thing around here. He says, driving an IndyCar, boy, this racetrack goes past you a lot quicker than it ever has before.
He finished 4th, his best of the year, back at Long Beach. And Helio Castroneves, our new race leader, let's listen in on the radio. Here's what we picked up.
Listen, thank you or anything?
I'm still catching my breath. I'm sorry. That was good.
Good job, guys. All right, we'll go to the end.
That's Tim Cindric sitting there saying, not even a thank you for that great stuff. Oh, well, while they're all smiles right now, one guy who is not is EJ Vizo. How about it, Jamie Little?
Yes, and actually we caught up with JR Hildebrand, too. Both are here. Actually, JR is on his way to the medical center to get a drug test right now. I see your knees all wrapped up, though. Your day ended early. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, the knee was fine. Yeah, we were really struggling out there, to be honest, for a little while to start with. I think right before the pit stop, we started having an issue with our weight jacker, which just got worse as the race was going on. So just kind of just trying to hang on to it at that stage. And, you know, was trying to be sort of courteous to leaders going by, but, you know, that high line is just a tough groove to make it work on. TK came around in front of me and just ended up having to use a little bit more road than, you know, I think I was sort of expecting, and I kind of had nowhere to go but up into the marbles, and you know that was that. So just, you know, really bummed for the Panther Racing guys. They worked really hard, and for the National Guard here this weekend.
Ill handling race car all day, claims J.R. Hildebrand. And EJ, one of the best races we've seen from start all the way till the way it ended. What happened?
It was well, I'm very depressed. It's very hard for us. We thought that everything was coming together. We definitely had a very fast car. I didn't have the pace of Tony and Dario, but we had a good car to finish in the top 3, top 4, to keep the pace that we were having. Carpenter just pit very last minute, and I just brushed his front tire, and sent me to the wall. I mean, I'm not blaming him or anything. It was just I wanted to be as close as possible to him because the marbles, and it was a tough one. I just brushed him and sent me to the wall.
We're back to green flag racing. Marty?
And boy, are they slicing and dicing as you finish up, Jamie Little. That's Charlie Kimball coming back out onto the racetrack. He got the wave around along with James Jakes, but what a battle. Castroneves on the high side.
And that affected Dario Franchitti's thinking, because he had a run going. He was going to go on the inside of Helio Castroneves down at the 3, but with the car coming out of 83, what ended up happening, he couldn't run down the inside, Charlie Kimball being there. That's a shame.
So it drops Franchitti all the way back to 3rd. Kanaan has now moved up to 2nd. Look at this action going on a little bit further back. That's Hinchcliffe with the 12 of Willpower on board with Danica. And here comes Servia. Remember, he is trying to fight his way back up. He was as high as 3rd earlier in this race. Servia, another one of those cars that's really good on new tires. That's what happens with Dario Franchitti. Side by side. Are they going to try and make it 3 wide? Danica goes down onto that very, oh, it's so slippery down there. She holds on to it, but can't make the pass. So Hinchcliffe holds on to 7th, Danica 8th, and Marco Andretti in 9th. Take a look up front, because you've got Helio Castroneves, Tony Kanaan, as they continue to battle for the race lead. And there's your top 3. Throw a blanket over them.
Looked like Tony was trying to have a look on the inside, but knew he couldn't make it stick, and Castroneves had the preferred line around the top side there. Now it'll be interesting to see what all these cars have to offer. As you said, that's the money stop. It's coming down to the end here. You don't want to abuse your tires too much with about 45 laps left to go.
The overtake to get away from them.
All right, you heard him talk about the overtake, and Elio has 15. Tony Kanaan only has 9 overtakes left. That push to pass button. Franchitti has 12, and a little bit further back, Graham Rahal has 11. All right, we were talking about how costly the pit stops can be. Before and after this last pit stop, Dario Franchitti had the points lead. Right now, with Will Power getting back into the mix and moving into the top 5, Power would come out of here with a 13-point margin over Franchitti if Franchitti stays in third.
And Power was very smart as you're riding on board right now with Dario Franchitti. But on that restart, it's a great time to pass cars. And for Will Power, he used up 5 of his push to pass to be able to move forward and march past the cars in front of him. As you ride on board now with the Firestone telemetry with Dario Franchitti, just let's watch his throttle application. It's 100% now. Tells you how the car is working. Off it completely, touching the brakes. He'll do that with his left foot. Sometimes you do that to put the weight shift forward on the car to get the front to bite to get through the turn. Tells you that the car is not working for him down there in turns 3 and 4. We just went through 1 and 2. Again, as we watch this Firestone telemetry, let's see if the same characteristics are here in 3 and 4. Tells you the car is not working there. He mentioned to us, Marty, he's having problems in that turn all weekend.
Well, one other thing he mentioned to us earlier in the weekend when we talked to him was how tight this competition is, and this has been a great example of it here today at the Milwaukee Mile.
Most of the guys out there on the track, there is a very, very intense competition. When we get out of the car, some days it spills over to out of the car too, and we have a little exchange maybe. And other times we just sort of shake each other's hand and say, great job there.
Right now he is 2 seconds behind the race leader. His car definitely works better when it has on fresh tires and out in clean air. We're getting reports that Elio Castroneves may be having a tire go down, Jamie Little.
That's what we just got a report on. Elio saying he has You hear Tim Cindric talking to him right now. Elio came on the radio and said, my left rear is going down. What do you guys think, Scott Goodyear?
Well, his last speed's 160 miles an hour. There's a couple of things happen here. You have the information on your dash for the driver, and then you've also got real-time telemetry. The information, the real information that
pressure is low. Copy.
They just told him the rear tire, and it looks like that left rear is going down.
Well, right now it certainly is. You can see that coming down. Now, if that was the right-hand side, he certainly would be into the wall right now. But important to note, he's telling him to pit.
The left rear tire pressure looks low. Does it feel okay?
If we can focus in on that, they'll see that on their television screen. If we get a tight shot on that to show the sidewall is going down a little bit on that. Now, what they're saying is they see it via real-time telemetry back in the pit box. All that information is sent back to the engineers. They monitor it, and they'll see that happening as the race is continuing.
We mentioned at the top of the broadcast, for 11 straight years, Elio Castroneves has won at least one race every year. Right now, he's in the race lead, but that is in a very precarious situation. Tim Cindric's got to make a call here soon because there is definitely a tire going down on that left rear for the 3 car.
Now, Marty, he would certainly feel it, as I mentioned before, if it was on the right-hand side of the car where the car is subject to all the G-forces. You're seeing over 4 Gs in these turns each and every time. The inside is not worked as hard as the outside, but with 35 laps left to go, the question is, will it just sit at the pressure it's at, or will he be able to make it to the end?
Looking at the Firestone telemetry, we can see exactly what is happening. And you talked about the G loading. That'll be the one on the right side. You see how many Gs, and you're right, 3.4 on the outside of that car. I'm not sure that tire would still be functioning at all.
Well, right now he's turned 156 miles an hour, continuously losing about a half a mile an hour per lap. Is that just because the tires overall are just starting to wear a little bit and the car is naturally going slower, or is that really making a difference to him? Now, as for Elio, depending how much it's going down, he would certainly feel that. That characteristic of the car would change.
Cars look like they're running high.
Well, Elio Castroneves is no stranger to having a late result that goes south on him. Let's take you back to 2007 when all of a sudden, as he is just flying out of turn number 4, the wing just folds, and he goes sailing into the wall. We're going to go side by side. We'll keep you posted with that, and you'll see if Elio takes a pit stop.
Coverage of the IZOD IndyCar Series at Milwaukee on ABC. Brought to you by IZOD. Visit IZOD.com to find the latest in IZOD color and performance. And OnTheLine.com, because your health is on the line.
Well, we were thinking that maybe it would be Elio Castroneves that would have the issue. And you saw it on side by side. All of a sudden, second place, Tony Kanaan. You could see the damage to the race car on the front. An unbelievable turn of events for the 82. Let's take you back and show you exactly what happened in turn 4.
You'll see the car come into view here very shortly. It's already going sideways as he's chasing Elio Castroneves. In this situation, the car comes back around, hits the left front. Now for Tony Kanaan, underneath this yellow, yes, it was a break for Elio Castroneves, but he had to go into the pit lane to change that left rear tire, we suspect, and then Tony Kanaan would have taken over the lead, and it didn't seem like his car was having any issues whatsoever.
Well, and we don't know if something broke on the car that sent it around, because the last time I can remember Tony spinning on his own is like the first 2 years we went to Iowa. He had no luck getting through turn 2 at that racetrack. And we're waiting to see exactly what happens when we get a chance to talk to him. You saw what was already the beginning of the spin. Now, for Elio Castroneves, the good news is he gets to come in and change the tire. The bad news is there aren't that many teams that are going to come in because they can go the distance. Jamie, here we go.
And Elio Castroneves had no idea the pressure was going down in the left rear. When the caution dropped, he said, now what's going on? They said, your tire pressure is low. Then he said, can I run on 3 tires? They really contemplated staying out. But you see there, Tim Cindric made the call, be safe rather than sorry. They came in and got 4 fresh tires for Elio Castroneves.
Marco Andretti also comes in as he was on the lead lap as well. He gets fresh tires and goes back out. Alex Tagliani also has come in, but he is 19 laps down as he has been struggling all day. Let's check in with Vince Welch.
With Mark Johnson, who handles the strategy for Tony Kanaan. Mark, had been such a good run for TK throughout the course of the day. You guys hadn't even touched the race car. Any indication as to what might have happened with that incident?
No, absolutely not. I haven't talked to Tony. He just said, guys, I'm sorry I crashed. And just watching a replay of it, it didn't look like there was any indicator there that was anything wrong. So just one of those racing things, I guess.
Thanks, Mark. Certainly a disappointing finish. 2 of their 3 cars now out for KV Racing Technologies.
And you're right, Vince. I mean, this day started with such promise. They had qualified 4th, 5th, and 6th, the best ever for KV Racing Technology since they joined the series. And now they're down to 1 bullet left. That's Takuma Sato in 7th position. Dario's, as we mentioned, clinched the 2 bonus points for leading the most laps. Here are the Firestone lap leaders. As you can see, a huge margin over 2nd place Tony Kanaan, 3rd place Elio Castroneves, and Franchitti now finds himself back in the race lead. And guess who is in 2nd place? Graham Rahal, through all this happening. And 3rd place is Will Power. Now remember, in the first half of this race, I mean, Will Power looked like he couldn't get out of his own way. He couldn't get higher than 13th. And here he is with 25 to go, and he's in 3rd.
Well, when I spoke to him earlier today, he said we just went too far in qualifying for the car. It was too loose. Means the back end wants to come around. I think I have a good race car, but we just hopefully will have some good luck. But all in this, we have to look at the push to pass that we have left. Franchitti has 11, Rahal has 8, and Will Power has 8. And for Will Power, he's going to say, come on, Graham, get up there, get underneath Dario Franchitti on this restart. Give me a shot at getting past you guys up front. It's going to be an interesting play to see who gets the jump here on the restart.
We mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast the rivalry that is brewing between these two. We talked to Will Power about it.
It's a friendly rivalry. You know, we actually haven't had any wars of words or anything like that, you know, in the media. It's, you know, I keep the racing on the track, you know. Dario's a good guy. He's actually a guy that I looked up to a lot when I was coming up through the ranks, you know, he was always fast, always a good driver, and, you know, I'm glad to be racing him. He's a clean but tough racer.
Got half the season left, but remember that Dario Franchitti at Texas made a big issue about the points that he lost to Will Power. The net loss was 5 points. The only guy that scored more points than Dario that night in that 2-race set was the man in 3rd place, Will Power, and that was 5 more. Well, guess what? The way they run right now, Dario Franchitti doesn't want to hear this, but again, it's still got 23 laps to go. The margin is 3 with Will Power in front of Dario Franchitti. Go back to the moment, and you can see Dario Franchitti's look on his face when he went to turn that wheel. The fan said yes, and he goes, oh, no. So he tried to make a good face out of it, but you could tell. And he just sliced and diced his way as best that he could. Fought his way back to 7th after winning race number 1. But it was Will Power going on to take the win in that 2nd race. I mentioned the points, and there they are as of right now. And Oriol Servia, who is running 4th, would move ahead of Scott Dixon into the 3rd position. Well back, though, of the 2 front runners. All right, let's get an update on the 12 car. What about it, Vince?
Well, they've certainly been patient today in working your way up now, Clive, in 3rd position. Do you have enough to get to the front?
We'll see. He's done a good job so far, but they're tougher. The further towards the front you get, the tougher they are.
That's for sure. And remember, before the race today, Clive Howe told me we're racing with Dario. Not necessarily the win, but that could end up being one and the same, and it certainly looks to be the case here, Marty.
Well, and what's going to be interesting, let's set this restart because we're getting ready to go. Remember, when Franchitti's had clean air and fresh tires, he's been a rocket ship, but these tires are not fresh.
And the other side about that, remember, this is double file restart now. Usually, for Will Power, he'd be 3rd in the line, but right now he's going to start directly behind the guy he's chasing the championship, Dario Franchitti.
All right, we go back to Green Flag Racing. There'll be 20 laps remaining. Up front, it is Franchitti alongside with Rahal. Franchitti's chosen the inside, as everybody has. Then Power and Servia. Danica Patrick is 5th, and James Hinchcliffe is 6th. And we're green. Here we go.
Rahal right behind you. About less than half the car length back. You're all clear.
Boy, and you saw Graham Rahal in the Service Central car slice right behind Dario Franchitti and take the air away from Will Power, allowing Servia just to get in between them.
And Danica Patrick had to get on the binders hard. She almost ran into the rear end of Power, and it allows Franchitti to open up a sizable margin here with now 19 laps to go. Scott Dixon trying to get around the 5 of Takuma Sato. Sato running in that 7th position despite the fact he had to serve that pass-through penalty after striking the crew member in pit road. The last hope for KV Racing Technology to come out of here with a good finish, the 5 of Takuma Sato. How about that James Hinchcliffe also running in 6th right in front of Sato and right behind Danica Patrick. The rookie doing a fine job here. The best run he's had on the oval so far since his rookie season started. Danica Patrick, she started 15th, has made her way into the top 5. If she could stay there, it'd be her first top 5 of the year, Scott.
She certainly loves the ovals a little bit better than road courses, although she came through in the road course type of series, Marty. For some reason, she's just not really run as strong.
Elio Castroneves, of course, he pitted because of the tire. There's a conversation on the radio. Let's listen.
Dude, that thing was flat.
Yep, nothing I can do now, guys. Good job, everyone, but let's keep going. Still 30 laps to go.
So the move was good, and they got him back out. He is 5.5 seconds behind, but he's got to get around teammate Ryan Briscoe. That's going to be no easy task. You're on board with Briscoe. Jamie, you got more?
Well, Elio Castroneves, when he came in, remember, he had no idea that was going down. So to say it was flat, that's pretty shocking. But they put on 4 scuffed tires. He lost 11 positions there, but Elio's staying optimistic. He'll make some move as he darts to the inside, Marty.
Side by side with Briscoe. He's on that soft asphalt that just has no grip, and he can't get the pass done.
Remember, that's his teammate, so he'll probably not put him at risk in that.
Inside, looking.
You can hear him shifting down, using the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Now looks like he gets clear.
Oh, and look on the outside, the 22 of Justin Wilson trying to go around the 6 of Briscoe. You're not missing anything up front. Franchitti's lead is 1.5 seconds. This is the best battle we've got going.
Inside.
And Justin Wilson is going to go around Briscoe. So in less than a lap and a half, Briscoe has dropped 2 spots down to 11th.
And Marty, just to touch on the Tony Kanaan accident, we're getting a report that he's now saying it was actually his fault that the back end of the car came around, that he was just pushing too hard to try to catch Elio.
And like I said, that's the first time I can remember that happening to him since the first 2 years we went to Iowa. Back up front, there is your race leader, Dario Franchitti, with now 12 laps remaining. And a chance for him right now, the way they're running, Power in 4th, Franchitti in 1st, we would be tied 271 apiece.
You know, and I spoke to Dario's father the other day, George, and we were talking about him coming up through the ranks, and George told me a story about when they were running karts back in Scotland. He said, you know something, we used to take it ourselves, we hook it up behind the car, and he said one morning we left early, I put the trailer on, we went down the hill to come to the stop sign. He said I didn't latch the hitch, and the trailer came off. He said I came to the stop sign and the trailer went right on behind me, and he looked over and he goes, that's our trailer. Ground to a stop, they went and picked it up, put it back on the back of the car, went to the racetrack, and they won that day.
Great story as we're now down to 10 laps remaining, and Dario Franchitti now at 1.7 second lead. That is Alex Tagliani, and a good job by the spotter letting him know he's pitting.
Also an experienced driver like Alex Tagliani right down by the yellow line, allowing as much room for Dario to go past.
You saw on that shot down the front straightaway, Ray Hall in 2nd, Servia in 3rd. Power is now 3.3 seconds behind. There is Graham, there's Servia, there's Will. So they're a straightaway apart between the 2 men battling for the top 2 spots in the championship. Next time by, 8 laps remaining here at the Milwaukee Mile.
And that last time by, Dario Franchitti, 156 miles an hour. Everybody else is in the 155 range, so it looks like the tires are staying underneath him, the car is staying underneath him. He has no traffic in front necessarily to ruin his aerodynamics.
Here's the closest battle we've got going on the racetrack now. Elio Castroneves in 9th with Justin Wilson in 10th. Castroneves was closing on Sato there, right in front of him. Takuma running in that number 5 Lotus as he is in the 8th position. 7 laps remaining here at the Milwaukee Mile. Looks like Wilson cannot do anything to close the gap now. He did for a moment, but all of a sudden, Castroneves pulls away. In fact, Castroneves gets closer to Takuma. 6 laps remaining here at the Milwaukee Mile. The lead is still 1.6 seconds up front.
And Marty, with these cars, once you get close to the car in front of you, catching them is one thing, but being able to make the move and pass is generally the other. Like we talked about before, setting up the car in turns 3 and 4 to get past it in 1 and 2.
5 to go, 5 to go.
5 more miles here at the famous Milwaukee Mile. And there is your race leader, Dario Franchitti, 1.7 seconds ahead of Graham Rahal. And as we mentioned, the points as of now, they would be tied. And with 4 laps to go, second half of the championship campaign is going to be extremely exciting to watch.
And also a great run for Rahal. Remember, a sister team to Dario Franchitti's car. 4 cars running out of that camp now with the Ganassi Racing team. This is a great run because there has been some frustration with Graham Rahal that he's not got the speed out of his cars that his target teammate cars have had.
Well, he finished second back at Brazil, so this would match his season best. He finished third, of course, at the Indianapolis 500, his best finish ever there. Then he was 9th at the first race at Texas, 30th in the second race. And now, coming down for 2 laps remaining. This one's not in doubt unless something happens with the number 10 of Dario Franchitti. His lead, 1.5 seconds. Dario down the backstretch into 3 and 4. This time by, he'll see the white flag as he'll have 1 mile to go here at Milwaukee.
Last lap.
He won this race back in 2004. This could be and will be his second win if he can negotiate the last 2 corners.
Clear by 10, bring it home.
Down the backstretch, through the corner, and here he comes. It'll be his 3rd win of the year to go with his win at Texas and St. Petersburg. And his 29th of his career.
Great job.
Second place, Rahal. 3rd place, Serbia. Power, Patrick with her first top 5. Then Hinchcliffe, Dixon, Sato, and Castroneves as they come across. And there is Briscoe, Conway, and Marco Andretti. Those are the 13 cars on the lead lap. Let's check in with Vince Welch.
Well, Chip Ganassi just giving congratulations to his driver, Dario Franchitti. And Chip, how big is this win in the scope of the championship and on the heels of what happened at Texas last week?
Yeah, it's big, Vince. You know, I mean, but tell you what, there were some fast cars out there today, and I think we got a little lucky. But Dario did a great job, and you know, you can't say enough about the Target team. When it's time to get to get it up, they do.
Well done. Congratulations, Chip. Marty?
The 29th win of Dario's career moves him into a tie for 9th on the all-time win list with guess who? Rick Mears. That's a pretty good company to be with. So a great run for Dario Franchitti and Graham Rahal. Oriol Servia, boy, he did a nice job today giving Newman Haas a 3rd place finish. And Will Power coming back from what was a dismal first half of this race to end up tied for the points lead with a 4th place finish. And Danica Patrick getting her first top 5 of the season here at the Milwaukee Mile. So Dario on the cool down lap and enjoying the salute of the crowd here, and gives us a quick moment to give a tip of the hat to all the promoters here. It's hard enough to start a new race, but it's even 3 times harder when you're trying to resurrect a race. And congratulations to all of them with what has turned out to be a great day of racing. Let's check in with that man who finished second. How about it, Jamie Little?
Well, it's his best finish of the year. Graham Rahal finishes second. Not bad against your teammate, but you're running the same race car every single week. What does this mean for your team?
Well, it means a lot for the Service Central team. My boys did a great job. Yet again, qualifying seems to be our weak link, but we're proving time and time again that when we get in the race, we can compete with these guys. And I can promise you I really wanted to give Dario a run there at the end. I just didn't have quite enough, but really proud of the Service Central boys. They did a fantastic job, and you know, to come home second is our third podium of the year. Like I said, we're proving we can compete with these guys, and one of these days we're going to win one.
Graham Rahal second today. His dad, Bobby Rahal, here at the track watching his son.
He started 12th, came home in second, so he does a very nice job in getting all the congratulations that go with it for his team. For Oriol Servia, who finished third, his best finish since his Champ Car 2007 season finale, that back in Mexico when he finished third there. Let's talk to the man who finished in fourth. How about it, Vince?
Will Power, what a run today. Finished fourth after starting 17th, gained 13 spots on the track. I got to believe in the big picture, you're pretty happy.
Yeah, very happy with that. Guys did a great job in the pits, and yeah, I mean, a couple of those double pole restarts were good for me. A couple were bad, but very happy to get the Verizon car up there, and I guess we're equal on points now. So good job by Dario. You know, he came back after Texas to teach us a lesson. So we got to be quick at Iowa.
You weren't surprised at that, were you?
No, he's a man. If you're beating that guy, you're beating the best, I tell you.
Will Power got his first oval win last week and a solid run here today at Milwaukee, Marty.
And still over half the season remaining as we go down to the Honda victory lane, because the man of the hour has made it there, and there he is with his dad on Father's Day, giving him a big kiss to Dad George, our winner, Dario Franchitti. Rick?
As he was driving down pit lane, he said, not bad for an old guy. I think it's the greatest Father's Day present he could have, both for his father and for all the rest of the crew. He said happy Father's Day as he was coming in. Yeah, it's the 29th victory. Yeah, it's the 80th time he's been on a podium. But more importantly, according to everybody's math down here, you're now tied with Will Power, and that has to mean a lot coming out of this race.
Not as much as winning this race does. The championship will take care of itself if you can keep winning races, and that's why we do this. But, oh, man, great job by this Target team again today. This Downey car was fast. We keep changing the colors, but it's been quick the whole time. So yeah, really happy, man. That was a tough race.
I was going to say, you led at the beginning, looked like you were going to dominate, and then things started to fall off. Why?
Well, then Canal showed up, didn't he? I mean, Tony was really strong. Typical racing with Tony, though, man. You can race with him inches apart. He gives you room, I gave him room, a lot of respect, typical. And then you race with Elio, and you know, you'd think after last year's penalty the guy would quit the block and stuff, but pushes one way down against the wall. I go around his outside, he pushes me up into marbles. I don't know what it would take for this guy to understand that blocking is not allowed, but anyway, and on the good stuff, I'm so happy to have won here, come back to the mile, man. This is hard work. They said, what do you want to fix in the car? I said, well, we're losing the front here, we're losing the rear. You fix one, we're going to screw up the other even worse, so I'll just hang on to it. And no, great feeling, man, and happy Father's Day to everybody out there. I had to win this because I forgot to buy my dad a present.
I think he's got the best present he could ask for today. Dario Franchitti winning here at the Milwaukee Mile.
And he can give him the trophy for a Father's Day present. Final thought?
Marty, I love the 1 mile tracks. I can't wait until our next race at Loudon on ABC on August 14th. It will be just like this one.
In fact, you just did what I'm supposed to do. That is our next stop on ABC. It's New Hampshire, it's Loudon, and it's Sunday, August 14th. Mark your calendar because this was just as exciting as it's going to be there. Up next, ABC World News, or your local news, except on the West Coast. Dario Franchitti, our winner today in Milwaukee. And on Father's Day, I hope you're having as happy a day as those two are. I'm Marty Reed for our entire ESPN and ABC crew. Till we meet again.